Welcome to another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you for joining us on this and our over 215 additional episodes in our catalog. So, if this is your first episode, welcome and please subscribe, follow, and share. And if this is just another episode that you've been following the whole way, we have quite the listener and viewership. I want to thank you. And again, if you're able to follow, share, let your friends, family know about this, we can get closer to helping those 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. So thank you for all the love and support up until this point. And as we go forward, we couldn't do this without you. Uh, as we become accustomed to, we like to pivot and turn and talk about maybe a topic or two for what may seem like an extended period of time. Uh, and that I'm sure you've noticed on probably the last, oh geez, maybe 10, 15, 20 episodes where we're really honing in on human trafficking. And again, that can come on so many different levels, whether it's labor or sex or uh, it, there's just so many. You talk about grooming and uh, it's just all incredible that people get away with this and that we don't as a nation have as of now the right safeguards in place to help uh, victims, individuals, whether they're children or not children, they've been a victim of any type of abuse, and that's hard enough as it is to go through that. I don't know what that's like. I haven't personally been through that, uh, but what I have been through is trauma, hitting rock bottom, mental health wise, and every day is a journey. Since 2017, uh, we're been on the like the upswing since then, and we just we continue to have good days, and we continue to have days, and sometimes extended periods of time that are um, not the greatest, where we have to really reach deep to do the minor things, get a shower, brush our teeth, uh, little things that some of us may overlook and say, "Oh, wow, like I can't believe they can't do that. That is so easy." Well, uh, that may be so for a lot of people, uh, but it doesn't mean that people are lazy if they're not doing it. There's something going on chemically in the brain that has been affected at some point and another, and so that's why have uh, or we try to have a team of individuals to be with us, to walk with us, to give us some guidance and support, let us know how we're doing, if we're steering maybe in the not right direction. But in any event, to have somebody just to really talk to, and that conversation as well as conversations I've had uh, is a conversation that our guest today has had by multiple conversations, and he's gonna share about that, and it's gonna be a deep dive into mental health awareness. Once you get through a form of trauma, whatever that may be, uh, that doesn't mean that everything's over, everything is back to normal. There are things, and they can keep creeping up back into our minds and take us back to that point in time where that trauma was really the heaviest. And one of those one of those I say well, one of those words, one of those phrases was what was mentioned today in the conversation with our guests, and it really took him back to uh, the the not great place uh, where he wasn't free to do human things himself, that there were others that were dictating his every move, and what he could do, what he couldn't do. And so he's going to talk about that in this episode. And if we need to, we'll go into a second episode. But felt we should give a good opening to this episode, so you have an idea of where we're coming from. That this is mental health and trauma related, but it also is related to kind of the flashback time, and how not only does the individual who's gone through trauma still go through the trauma, but the extended individuals, friends, family, colleagues, people you work with, they end up being part of it, whether we like it or not. David Solomon, thank you again for joining us on the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah, if you just want to really just dive right in. We had a good
Yeah.
conversation earlier, and uh,
Yeah.
for our
So,
listeners and our viewers, yeah.
I've been going through a series of healing. Um, about 2 days ago, um, I woke up and my face, part of my face was paralyzed. In fact, it still is. Um, and I learned from the doctor that uh, this is all caused by trauma. That you want to forget and and put aside. And it it cost me dearly 2 nights of no sleep
Mhm.
and not being able to eat straight uh, because of it. And I talked to other survivors, and this does happen when you get in a relaxing state, when you heal over time. It can hit you like a lupus flare up that my wife has, or a flare of arthritis that you go through, and it won't get better until your body accepts the fact that it's over. So it's just been a humbling experience to go through that and learn through that. And I couldn't do it till now, um, because I wasn't in a healthy place. My wife and my son have given me that place of healing and that place of belonging and that home, you know. No matter where I am, no matter if I, am in another foreign city and doing a project, I can always come home to my best friend, my wife Amanda, and and she will always be that home. And so I realized that I've been home despite all the stress and all the trauma. And when you finally get to a relaxing place, so to speak, you you destruct emotionally because your body can't process things. And that's a very hard thing to deal with. I think, um, you know, before with talking about trafficking and talking about what happened to me and other people, it wasn't easy, but I could put it in the past. I could cry for hours and then say this happened and I'm okay. And I can't do that anymore. And that's a little um, challenging to learn. You can only put the problem to bed so many times before you face the Goliath and have to slay it like David did. Mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And it's it's been heartbreaking to learn that. So I got tears just from saying that. So um, I I guess I thought, it happened. I was trafficked. Time to move on and tell my story, and it won't affect you. And that isn't the truth. I forgave the person that trafficked me, and that didn't stop it. I did everything right, um, that a Christian young man should do to prepare for being a husband and a father, and more importantly, a leader of the household, but also other people that look up to me too. And I've been mocked for it. I have. But I follow God. A lot of people may laugh at that, but I do, no matter what. If He says run, I will run. If He says walk, I will walk. If He says stay, I will stop. And from the beginning um, of 2 days ago, I faced the reality that God wants me to go through this and all the hurt and all the pain. And He wants me to learn from it because that pain and that suffering can help someone else who has either been trafficked or caught or beaten or bruised in a rough place. There was there was someone on YouTube a year ago who said I don't break down with emotion, um, and it's true. I buried that. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be a rock. I wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to live in the future and not the past. And the problem is, you can't run away from your past anymore. So I want to share what I'm going through. And I imagine 500,000 writers right now are going to have a similar um, reaction. So I already had a lot of trauma that I was trafficked. And we don't need to go into names or details. We can just say it happened. The real trauma came when I came back to my town in Oregon City. You see, my traffickers called me Cody, and they wouldn't let me use the bathroom unless I said I was Cody. And I made the blatantly stupid mistake of saying, "Fine, I'm Cody, let me use the bathroom." And that was my stupidity. So when I escaped, it was a small town, and anywhere we went, Fred Meyer, Blockbuster, uh, a restaurant, Wendy's, you know, the grocery store, it would start creeping in that things were on hold for Cody. And then there would be calls for Cody, and then police would do welfare checks for Cody. And we would have the Oregon City Police show up for a welfare check about every 2 days for a period of 4 months, seeing if Cody was okay. And it just got overwhelming when I went to my own church and my friends and my church family turned their back and said, "You're Cody, you're a liar, you're a cheater, you're a loser, and go die." And that was manipulation at its best. And it hurt. My mom had just beaten terminal cancer and she was weak. She needed help. All we got was abuse. So the trauma that people talk about with Cody is true. It did bug me that people call me Cody because I'm not Cody. And when you call someone that and you torment them, every time someone calls me Cody, I think of being locked in that cage and being raped because that's what they would do. I had an individual call me Cody 2 days ago, and that's part of what set this off. And they knew that that was a sensitive subject, and they knew that it wasn't true, but they did it anyway to annoy me as a bully because they didn't like something I said. That's not a true friend. And so I want to make it clear it's not because it's a name, Cody. It's because of the memories of Cody that just traumatized the living brains out of me. Fast forward to 2020. My mom um, was very sick. She had been poisoned. I rushed her to the emergency room, and I didn't even get to say goodbye. I didn't get to I didn't get to see her again. I was tackled to the ground by about 9 Panama City police. I was beaten. I was knocked unconscious. I woke up in a police cruiser and I said, "Where's my mom?" And he said, "She's gone." And I said, "Why am I here? I want to see my mom." And he said, "You're never seeing her again. You're under arrest." And I said, "What? Where are we going?" And he goes, "We're going to go somewhere. You'll figure it out." I can't tell you how loud I screamed in that cruiser. I can't tell you how loud I yelled. I can't tell you. We got to the place. I was shaking. I was throwing up. I had just lost my best friend, basically died in my arms, who stuck by me through everything when no one else did, who comforted me through all the car accidents, who helped me through the 6 month coma, who gave me strength and showed me what faith was. And when I didn't have any friends that visited me in the hospital, and when I lost my memory, when I had amnesia, when I was blind, when I was paralyzed, she was there and no one else was. I was taken to a maximum facility psych ward. I was denied food. They put me in a coat. They locked me in a padded room. And that is how I spent the night, processing that I had just lost my best friend. Next morning, I got up. I had never seen anything like it. All these people were just on drugs, and it was so. I've never touched alcohol. To see that, people shaking and convulsing, and it was so horrible. I got bullied for being the only white person in there, so I got beaten up pretty good. I was held for 7 days. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. The Police said I was dangerous because of my color and my religion. They marked me as a terrorist, radical, sociopath, murderer, and I was charged with the manslaughter charge on my mom. And instead of going to a prison, I would spend my life in psych wards with no advocate, no lawyer, no one. It was COVID. Nobody cared. Everybody wore masks, but not in there. Mask was a weapon. That was that was a harsh reality. Those 7 days. I got one phone call, so I asked for a phone book. Said yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Nobody said two words to me because they had never seen anything like it. And the staff even knew I didn't belong there. I would sit in a corner and cry, keep to myself, and be terrified. And I was terrified. And a lawyer I finally got a hold of on the seventh day. He got me released, but it came at a price. They they took my mom's belongings, her vehicle, and um, everything else. That was no thank you. There was no apology, I guess, for getting the wrong person. The charge was reversed. Phone was taken from me. Everything was never returned except one thing. My mom was cremated behind my back. I was denied the right to see her, even till now. That was just the beginning of the trauma that I've been through. I made a stupid mistake 6 months later, and I legally wasn't supposed to talk about it until about 2 months ago. But person called my mom the C word. I was in Maryland and I was grieving. Somebody made fun of my mom. I lost my temper. I threw a smoothie at their face. It hit their chest. That is sexual assault, armed and battery, and attempted manslaughter in the state of Maryland. And I was arrested and detained in a jail at first for about an hour. Never been in trouble my whole life. Freaking out. And then I was taken to prison. Maryland Max Prison, state prison. I was charged for attempted manslaughter in the third degree, and it was uh, it was something. Again, COVID. The police thought that the blueberry and strawberry smoothie on the person was blood, and it wasn't. So, but the person that I threw it with made a whole thing and said that I'm bleeding now and help me. And they were drunk and high on drugs, which was stupid of me to even carry on a conversation with that person. But I don't do drugs and I've never drank. That is the stupidest mistake I've ever made in my career in my life. So I went to prison for 12 hours. I got out by a miracle of God, literally. Um, but they weren't going to let it go. It went on for 9 months. My own lawyer would not represent me once he found out um, about about my trafficking case. And some people testified that I was a dangerous person that I have named from makers actually. And they were going to put me away for 40 years, state of Maryland, for what I did. 40 years. And the judge had never seen anything like it in his letter. The person lived in another state, and the court was willing to pay them to come out to prosecute me. And that has never happened the way it did. They were willing to pay that person to come out. So 9 months of hell. I had to wear an ankle bracelet or ankle monitor. Sorry. Um, I had to be terrified. People don't want me talking about this because at the end of the day, it was let go and it was a mistake. And because of COVID, again, um, people made mistakes. People uh, assumed things during COVID, and it was wrong. Do you think I got an apology? No. I got a criminal record for 2 years and then an apology 2 years later. Oh, we're sorry that happened. So I haven't been able to talk about this legally until this ended because legally until 2 months ago, they could still take me to prison for the freaking smoothie that I threw. So when people blast that on YouTube, that was traumatizing because people look at that and go, oh, he's a criminal. He's a criminal. He has a criminal record. He went to prison. I did for 12 hours. You neglect that. And that's the trauma that has paralyzed my jaw. That's the trauma that has made me sick. During that, it drove me to death because in the prison I got a hold of a nasty infection because they don't wash anything. And because it was COVID, they didn't give us masks and they just threw us in a cell that was dirty and nobody cared. So I got sick. I ended up hospitalized for that after the fact, about a week after. Couldn't keep any food down for about 3 weeks. Got pretty bad. It got to the point where my doctor, uh, who's a man of God, he similar circumstance. He said the hate in my heart for the person that trafficked me was so great. And if I was going to go to prison because of a smoothie and a court was willing to do it, and no matter what anybody did, no matter what letter was written, there were 400 people that wrote letters on my behalf as a character. 400, think about that number. I was crying.
Mhm. Why don't we cut this one short or at the end, and we'll come back to continue this conversation.
That's fine.
Great. Thank you, our viewers, our listeners, for checking out this episode. And please come back for the second part of this conversation. Until next time, be a voice for you or somebody in need.